actually one of the very few benefits that can somewhat be negotiated. So like I said, it requires you to stay with the company for a while, depends on your position. And then depending on what you negotiate, you can accrue more days throughout your years with the company. Generally, when an employee starts with the company, they'll have 1 to 2 weeks, with about 1 to 2 weeks eligible for paid vacation, and over time and whatever they negotiate and everything they accrue and how well they do, by the end of their career, they'll be eligible for around 4 to 6 weeks paid vacation. And another important aspect of benefits is retirement. So retirement is not only a big part of health benefits, or excuse me, not health benefits, but benefits in general, but a big part of people's lives. This is when we're going to be deciding, how are we still going to maintain a stable income, how are we going to support ourselves and our families after we're done working and done with our careers. And most companies offer benefits to help support employees with this important part of life, fortunately. So beginning with pension plans, there's 2 different types of pension plans. There's the defined benefits plan and the defined contributions plan. With the defined benefits plan, you know exactly how much you're going to get per year because it's based off of a formula, which is based off of how long you've been with the company and your pay and whatnot. But this traditional plan is actually on the downcline because a lot of companies are actually declaring bankruptcy to avoid paying employees who use this plan. And then that leads to the defined contributions plan. And with this plan, you generally don't know exactly how much you're going to get, but normally it's more than the other plan. And the way it works is you allocate your pension money and your pension dollars across various funds, which normally range from risky to safe, including funds like the money market or inflated link bond funds. And then there's also the 401ks and the 403b. So the main difference between these two is that the 403b is generally with nonprofit organizations, church organizations, school districts, and things like that. And these organizations by law don't have to pay as many administrative costs. So generally speaking, just the administrative costs for the 403b are lower. And then moving to the 401ks, there are 2 different types of 401ks, the traditional and then the Roth. With the traditional 401k, you don't pay taxes as you contribute, but you pay taxes when you remove your money. And then the Roth 401k works just opposite. As soon as you start paying and supporting the fund, you're paying income tax, and then when you remove your money at the end, you don't pay federal tax. And generally more employees go with that because you ultimately end up saving federal tax dollars. Now that I've gone over benefits with you, I'm going to hand it on over to Dan. He's going to be going over ethical and social issues and compensation. Thanks.
So how's it going tonight, guys? My name's Dan, and I'm just going to be covering some social, ethical issues you guys might face in your professional lives. Because, I mean, essentially the question with compensation is, how much are you worth to my organization? And that's not always an easy question to answer. So to start off, let's just set some parameters for market pay. Market pay is when you're paying in the middle 50% of whatever job you're compensating for. If you lag, you're in the bottom quartile, and if you lead, you're in the top quartile. So the most common issue with compensations in organizations is a tight budget. A lot of the common questions you're going to face is, who gets the money? How much does each person deserve? How much do they actually get? And, organizations, I work at a community college, we don't have a lot of money to just be thrown around, So there are pretty much 2 basic solutions this breaks down into. The first is massive layoffs. You get to say you fired a bunch. A lot of people aren't going to like you, but eventually you'll become the president. I think that's how it works. And the second is to disperse the hit amongst your employees. This kind of creates a sense of camaraderie amongst your staff. Kind of gives them the feeling that, we're in this together. So the next thing I want to talk about is attracting and retaining talent. Attracting is the easy part. I mean, pretty much just says to either lead the market or at least pay the market. But retaining talent is the real tricky part to get this. How do you justify paying more for new hires than you do your current employees? And so one solution to retaining employees is to promote from within. What this does is it creates the sense that for your employees you're creating a career, not just a job. And it also helps your organization because now your top-end executives know the ins and outs of the whole business, not just oversight. The next issue we're going to talk about is salary compression. This ties into retention again. It's that question: how do we justify paying more for new hires than we do people who have been here for 5 or 10 years? So there are a few ways to avoid compression. A lot of HR just comes down to due diligence in my experience. It's, you know, having a process in place but keep asking these questions. How can we make this better? So naturally you're going to want to review job descriptions, you're going to want to review pay, salaries, and ranges. You're also going to want to research the market rate and conduct regular job analysis. So when we get to setting pay ranges and structures, this usually only affects larger organizations that have 200 or more employees. And so what your range is, it's, you know, the highest earner subtract the lowest earner for that job or group, and that's your salary range. So when it comes to adjusting these structures and ranges to avoid things like salary compression, there are a few things you want to keep in mind. You want to conduct regular reviews. You want to talk to your managers of different departments, but you don't want to listen to just what they say is gospel, because people have this thing where they tend to inflate their own roles or responsibilities to avoid losing something, in this case, compensation. Another thing you're going to want to do is you want to look broadly. You want to look outside your own organization. You want to ask your competitors. Don't be afraid to ask to see, salary ranges and structures of other competitors that you have. That way you can get a bearing for where you're at. Next thing I want to talk about is hot skills. Hot skills are certain attributes that you possess that make you more employable than people of similar experience. That's a hot skillet, because I got a little confused when I was doing this, so bear with me. So hot skills in 2017, these are just a few of them. I'm not going to get super into detail with them, but I just thought this could be useful for us because we're entering the working force now, You want to set yourself ahead, and a lot of these just have to be focused on technology, That's just the way the world is going at this point. So the next thing I'm going to go over is just briefly discuss the rising cost of benefits. Each year, benefits become more and more expensive, especially healthcare benefits. And a lot of these things you can't control, like size of your family, where do you live, where's your insurance company based out of, and especially with the repeal and replace of the ACA, a lot of places are in flux, they don't know what to do. So this is just a tool that you can use when analyzing your benefits. It's the cost-benefit analysis. It's just a tool to keep us organized, to give you a visual, to help explain what can be a complex topic like benefits to someone who isn't an expert in that field, aka your employees, right? Next thing I want to talk about is incentive pay. It's good for a tight budget. What it does, it incentivizes your employees to, build a career with you, but also work towards the goal in front of you. Now, when we compare that to performance pay, it's a little bit different. Raises and bonuses are based on your performance and your performance evaluations. It motivates your middling employees, not your top guys or your bottom of the barrel, but it really aims to hit that middle, like 80%. So a big part of that is evaluating your employees. So what you want to do is, the way I think of it, it's almost like shifting the liability, the responsibility of an explanation from the company to the employees. Instead of saying, well, why isn't the company paying me this much? It goes to, this is what I can do to make as much money as I want to within this organization. So another important part of performance pay is setting goals. What you want to do is you want to set your goals that aren't easily attained, but at the same time aren't possible to attain. If nobody can reach these goals, or if everyone can reach these goals, the whole purpose is defeated. So negatives of performance pay, it leaves a lot of people feeling unappreciated, and it also, sometimes it's hard to compare different jobs. Like, how do I compare an HR associate with a salesman, with the head of marketing? So those are just some things to keep in mind, guys. Up next is Bianca Gonzalez, and she's going to be covering compensation systems.
Don't mind my stuffy nose. Okay, the compensation system is really an overview of this whole presentation. Even though we've all broken it down, as you guys have heard, I'm going to talk a little bit more specifically about job description, job evaluation, salary surveys, and scales, and policies and regulations. So job descriptions are really the beginning step. When looking for a job, the companies give out a list of things that they are obviously looking for. And when looking for a job, the description normally actually says around what salary that would be given. If you're able to perform well, complete duties, and have required skills, then you may be able to make a little bit more than what they're listed or more than minimum wage. The job placement is finding the dream job that you have with the salary that you hope to achieve. When you have the right experience, education, complexity, and drive to work, then you should find the right job for you and get paid decently for your hard work. Before accepting the job, you should process by establishing really a pay structure. Even though there are 5 steps, I will only really cover the first 2. Salary surveys and job evaluations. This way, we can create a successful pay plan to ensure your future. These 2 steps will also cover external, internal, and procedural equity. When needing to know how much you should get paid, one should perform a salary survey, which is actually what other employees are paying for a comparable job. This part ensures the external equity part of it. It is difficult to set up pay rates if you don't know what others are paying, so salary surveys play a big role in designing a pay plan. Salary surveys aim to determine prevailing specific salary rates for a specific job. Employers can use salary surveys data to price and rate benchmark jobs. A benchmark job is really the anchor job which they base each job off of and make it organized. People get paid for specific duties, and that payment is on an aspect scale, really. You obviously have salary surveys. The scale on one side is basically just the payment that you could have, and the other side is all the companies, and basically you see it, what you could really get. The second step, again, is job evaluation. It allows you to determine the worth of each job in your organization. This is an example of the internal equity. Determining your job's worth eventually results in a wage or salary structure or hierarchy. The basic principle of job evaluation is that jobs that require greater qualifications, more responsibilities, and more complex job duties should be paid more than jobs with less requirements. Methods for job evaluation have 3 types: ranking method, classification method, and point factor method. Ranking and classification is placing the jobs in a certain order to help you organize. The point factor method actually breaks jobs down into compensable factors, place weight, or points on them. Compensable factors are identified as determining the worth of the job, and some major categories for this are skills, responsibilities, efforts, and working conditions. These things also affect how your individual performance is evaluated. Each person's skills are broken down by experience, education, and ability. Their responsibility is either official or supervised. Their effort is either mental or physical. And their working conditions are either location-based, hazardous, or extreme in environment. A person's individual performance is expected to be different based on all the different conditions combined. And based off of individual performance, there's also performance bonuses, which are not really enrolled into your base pay, but a worker has a chance to earn it every time it is actually given in the office. It can be a one-time reward or seasonal. Bonuses can be linked to objective performance measures rather than subjective ratings. And lastly, salary policies and regulations are based off of your specific company, really, and the job that you work for. All bosses have different methods of payment and how much or little they're willing to give out, besides the following regulations of minimum wage and basically where you live. Next is Lucia.
Hi guys, I'm Lucia, and for my portion of compensation will be executive compensation. So executive compensation is composed by the financial compensation and other non-financial awards received by an executive by their firm. Executive compensation to me was really interesting because it obviously combines all the different forms of compensation, but just specialized for executives. There's different policies that go along with executives and how they're compensated for what they do for the company. This involves like stock options, stock grants, base salary,